your faith, demystifying the myths and mysteries of faith. Defining the undefinable. Around the world and throughout time, people have demonstrated an innate nature to reach out for and understand something greater. It is ingrained in our DNA to search for the divine. This is not an accident of evolution. If we are intelligently designed, that intelligent designer would have programmed within us a desire for a relationship with and knowledge of them. If there is a higher intelligence is a really big if. It is the question that defines every aspect of our existence. Before we can ever agree on who God is, we must first define what God is, and more importantly, what He is not. First, He is not He, nor is He she, nor is it a God. God is just the term that we can agree on, so we call it God. So let's dig into that. Do a quick image search on your internet browser. I prefer the one that is synonymous with 10 to the 100th power. Search just the simple word, God. When I did it, the very first image I got was an old, white, bearded man sitting on a golden throne. In fact, every image on the first page was a cheesy meme about God, a portrait of a white Jesus, or an image of an old, bearded, white man. Instead of having been created in God's image, we have created God in our image. And he's apparently quite, Northern European. Firstly, aside from being quite racist, sexist, and human-centrist, it is a complete bastardization of what almost every creation story says. Let's start big. At its core, what is God? We've already established the problematic image we have of a human, separate and detached. That image cannot be eternal. It must be held in form, which requires thought, which requires a prior intelligence to create it. Which, in fact, it was created by man. Literally, man, like people with penis. That image cannot be infinitely immense. It is contained in a solid form. That image cannot be all-knowing, because it is limited only to the scope of its own perspective. For God to really be God, it can't be that. We have to define God in other terms. So let's break it down macro to micro and into the quantum. If I were to define what God is, I would call it a spirit, which is the energy that gives life and existence. What is everything made of? Atoms, right? Well, atoms are made of something too. Atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Those are made of smaller things called up quarks and down quarks, which are further made up of smaller things that are in turn made up of, wait for it, energy. Everything is made out of energy, and on a cosmological scale, not very much of it. If the nucleus of an atom is about the size of that grain of dust on your coffee table, the nearest electron is about 50 to 75 yards away. The rest is just empty space. If you were to condense all the energy of the universe, it could be contained within a sphere about the size of a ping pong ball. Energy by itself is lifeless and dead. But the universe is not dead. Now I know there are a lot of religious texts out there, and I don't want to neglect any of them. But the Bible is what I know, and it's also the most commonly referenced quote-unquote authority on the subject. In the book of John, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What word could be so powerful as to define all of creation, all of existence, and all of time? René Descartes said it when trying to define existence. I think, therefore. And Moses was given the word too when he asked what to say when the Egyptians asked him for the name of God. I am he that is called I am. That one word well, in English it's 2, but in other languages it's 1, is the basis for the entire definition of God. God is the sum of all its parts, all the matter, all the energy. Everything in existence is God. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only change form. God is the sum of all energy. Therefore, God is eternal. Space is not a complete vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. Even in the middle of intergalactic space, there is still energy passing all around. The very fact that you can see other galaxies means there is light, which means there is energy. God is omnipresent. All knowledge is contained within all of consciousness. The internet, which is the summation of all human knowledge, was originally written and contemplated by conscious human minds. Those minds are part of the collective universal consciousness. Those are just the minds on Earth, and only the human ones at that. There are other planets with other minds and other knowledge. God is the complete sum of all knowledge. Therefore, God is omniscient. Now this is where the Christians and almost all other religions will get really mad at me. God cannot be both all good and all powerful. There is evil, and all things are part of God, so God is not all good. So for God to be all powerful, which it must be because it is all, it cannot be all good. This God is both bigger and smaller than any other, simply due to the fact that the very nature of those gods can be defined within a physical scope, which means their existence is encompassed within the greater universal knowledge. Allah, Jehovah, Shiva, Buddha, Odin, Zeus, Jupiter, they all exist within the larger scope of what the one God is. So to put it simply, God is the summation of all that is, all that was, and all that will be, existing simultaneously. The existence of God can be proven without taking it on faith. I am touching God because I am touching matter. God is in me, but I am not God. God is you, but you are not God. Everything is a part of it, and nothing is separate from it. But nothing is it, and it is nothing, because it is everything. Reach out and touch the nearest object to you. You just touched God. But you have touched something so infinitesimally small that its very existence is negligible. And due to the fact that you are even capable of contemplating the existence of God, you have proven that God exists. Or are we just a cosmological accident and there can be no true life, consciousness, or existence? If you have enjoyed this and want to see more, please give it a like and subscribe, and make sure you share it on all your social media networks.